Can you feel it? A storm is coming. It's been a pretty incredible few days. Overnight, after the last video I shared, the Polygon Vault suddenly doubled in size. And honestly, I'm incredibly grateful. So I took the weekend off, went for a hike, and let everything sink in. And guess what? Lucky I am. No way. Now, I want to make the most of this momentum and give you guys the best I possibly can. We still have a lot to do to bring the main street to life, and I can't wait to show you what I have planned. I'm more excited than ever to see where Wiyoh Falls can go from here. So, let's get back to work. Here's what I have in mind for this build. A classic neighborhood barbershop, heavily inspired by Coming to America and the rich culture surrounding old-school barbershops. I really love how these places can feel like their own little social hubs, where people come to get a haircut, chat, joke around, and catch up with the regulars. I wanted to give the shop that unmistakable 80s and 90s feel, while adding my own twist with the combination of freshly trimmed beards and boxing memorabilia all around. I'll flesh out the lore a bit more when I work on the owner and the interior in an upcoming video, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of where I'm going with it. Here's a mood board showing what I actually want the building to look like. These references should give me a pretty good starting point for the shapes, colors, and overall feel I'm going for. Alright, so right away, I took a large section of the bookstore wall, duplicated it, and used it as a base. I grabbed a nice looking brick texture from SketchUp Texture Club and slapped it on right away. This is one of my go-to websites whenever I need generic textures. The link's in the description. I then reused the windows from the bookstore as well and aligned them properly on the facade. I also made them a little taller to fit the proportions better. This was the first time I looked at the building and thought, hey, that's a solid start. As simple as it was, the overall shape was good, so I moved on to the doors. I took those directly from the angler's hook, but I ended up going with a different texture. The same goes for the windows. I came back to them a bit later, fixed the stretch UVs and retextured them. And then I modeled the facade. A lot of barbershops back then had pretty simple storefronts with big windows, bold signs, and just enough color to stand out from the rest of the street. That's the kind of look I wanted to recreate here. I wasn't entirely sure where I was going with the facade at first, so I stuck to my reference images and just trusted the process. One thing I knew for sure was that I wanted the storefront to be concave, something that curves slightly inward into the building. I felt it would give the front a bit more depth and make it feel less like a flat wall, while also giving the entrance a little more character. Next, I started working on the trim around the top of the building. I found a nice texture, made it seamless, added some dirt to it, and it was ready to go. If you think the UV looks a little empty, that's just because it's an Atlas texture. This one is specifically for roof trims, and I'll be filling it up as I go with the other buildings that will populate the main streets. For the dirt, I simply added a black and white image on top of the texture and set the layer to overlay. This lets me control how much of the dirt comes through just by adjusting the opacity. After that, it was just a matter of cleaning up the edges of the sheet to keep it seamless and getting it to look exactly the way I wanted. I also went back and retextured the concrete window sills. Next up, I gave the roof some attention and went back to the windows to give them a little love as well. For the windows, I reused the ones from the Briggs Motel. And for the roof, I reused an old material I made for the grill next to the angler's hook and applied it here. It was really starting to take shape, as you can see. Then I came back to the storefront. I found a great looking one and adjusted it to fit my needs. As soon as I applied the texture to the door, I knew it was going to look amazing. A website I really like using when I'm looking for storefronts is called Shopfront LG. If you want to take a look, there are dozens of pictures of storefronts that could be useful for your own projects. The link's in the description as well. It's a slow and meticulous process, but I really enjoy seeing it come together. After making sure every face was properly unwrapped, with no stretching and everything laid out correctly, I moved on to the sign. The name of the place, as you saw in the introduction, is Jackson's Uppercut, an obvious reference to boxing. But who is this Jackson guy? Is he really trouble? Should we all be as unsettled by his arrival as Ned seems to be? For now, I'll keep that a secret and shamelessly use it to make you come back to the channel in a couple of weeks to find out. But let's just say I already have a pretty good idea of who he is. Last but not least, I added some grime and wear to the building using my trusty old set of decals. It's insane how easily it breaks up the repeating brick pattern and adds those little touches that make the whole thing feel unique. This building might seem simple, and it is. But since I wanted to make sure it looked exactly the way I envisioned it, it took me a while and a lot of trial and error. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty satisfied with the final results. Alright, let's give it a spot on the main street. I mentioned in my last video that it was called Heritage Avenue, but the main street is actually called Founders Street. Heritage Avenue runs right through the middle of Founders, hence the confusion. Right now, we're just adding some generic props I modeled in previous videos. I just love being able to reuse them like that. These are all pretty small details, but they add up pretty quickly and make the environment feel much less empty. Of course, we can't forget about those now infamous missing posters. Some of them are just placeholders. I might swap them out for similar props later, just to add a bit of variety. Like this fence, for example. I'm pretty sure there'll eventually be another building right up against the barbershop, but It'll do for now. A little chair for waiting customers. And some barrels and garbage for the creepy alley next door. Love it. Next, I decided to model one of the barbershop's most iconic staples, the barber pole. And as strange as it might look, there's actually a pretty weird story behind it. Apparently, back in medieval Europe, barbers didn't just cut hair. They also performed minor medical procedures, including bloodletting. The red and white stripes of the pole are believed to represent blood and the bandages used during these procedures. The blue stripe was added later, particularly in the United States, and its meaning is a little less clear. So basically, what we now associate with getting a haircut actually comes from a time when going to the barber could also mean getting your blood drained. That's pretty metal for a barbershop decoration. Midway through the modeling, I realized I'd gone a little heavy on the polygons, so I decided to trim it down and keep it a little simpler. I then smoothed the faces, added the mounting brackets, and just like that, it was time to texture the thing. I ended up adding some emissive to the striped part so it lights up in the dark. As for the rest, it's just generic metal parts I found already laid out on the UV sheet. I eventually duplicated the metal part and made it a little lighter though. Just like that. Pretty simple, but I think it'll do a good job of catching people's attention. With the main attraction done, I decided to recycle the Briggs Motel open sign and rearrange it to make a more generic version for the barbershop. This is not common practice, so you've been warned. But I figured it would be a good way to reuse an already existing unique texture at the cost of a few extra polygons. With a little creativity, I ended up rearranging the UVs so it looks like a slightly different open sign. I guess there's more than one way to do things in 3D. So I isolated all the letters, put everything back in, and it was good to go. Same material, new sign, I'll take it. With that out of the way, I moved on to the gutter. I already had one lying around, so I just reused it and stretched it a little to fit the height of the barbershop. I didn't have a super long section of the metal texture on the UV sheet, so I ended up adding loops all around and kind of folding it like an accordion to make the metal repeat. Very rough, nothing too precise. And then, since I already had the loops, I just moved a few of them around to bend the gutter a little bit. Last asset for today, a newspaper dispenser. 2 of them, actually. This is the kind of asset I love because it's highly reusable. Newspaper dispensers are a defining feature of the American main streets. You'd see them all over the place, usually lined up near sidewalks, storefronts, and busy intersections. especially in the 90s, before cell phones and the internet became such a huge part of everyday life. They were a pretty common sight. Plus, it made me think of a new lore bit to add to the town. The Wiyoh Falls Herald. Maybe I'll model the newspaper office one day. Hey, since you made it this far, I just want to take a quick moment to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel and lets me know you want to see more of this kind of content. And if you'd like to support the project a little more, I've also started sharing little sneak peeks on my Patreon. My patrons get to see what I'm working on a little before everyone else. It's nothing huge, but I thought it'd be a nice little perk for supporting what I do. So, for the first layer of metal, I went with a slightly rusty texture. Nothing too crazy, just enough to make it feel like it's been sitting outside for a while. I also played around with the shapes a little bit. Since I'm making two of them, I figured I might as well give them a few differences so they don't look exactly the same. The texture resolution is a little lower on the bigger ones since I didn't bother adjusting the UVs, but honestly, I don't think it's noticeable. After that, I moved on to the front. I added the display window where you can see the newspaper and put an ad right underneath it. They're just planes sitting in front of the box, basically like stickers. By the way, if there's anything else you'd like me to model next, don't hesitate to let me know. I might not be able to reply to every comment anymore, but I certainly read all of them. And lastly, I decided to put the Wiyoh Falls Herald logo on the sides of the blue newspaper box. Just because. Okay, let's do a bit of level art again, shall we? Let's place the newspaper dispensers. That's a great spot for now. And then the open neon sign. Let's add the gutters as well. And some vines I dug up from our ever-growing object bank. Oh, I like that. It's like it's creeping up alongside the gutter. This barbershop has been such a joy to make, ladies and gents. I already have so many ideas for buildings to make for the main street. So much to do, so little time. And here's the final touch. Alright, that's all the work I'm gonna get done out here for now. I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to my 9 patrons for supporting this project. I went from 5 of you to 9 in just a few days, which honestly blows my mind. Your support gives me a lot more freedom to keep making this project the way I want it to be. And of course, I want to thank everyone who keeps coming back to watch these videos. Whether you've been here since the beginning or you just discovered Wiyoh Falls, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and follow along with this little project. As for the community growing so quickly, I have to admit it's a little scary. I always knew this project would eventually reach more and more people, but I definitely didn't expect it to happen this fast. It's a little overwhelming, but I'm more than willing to embrace it. And honestly, I couldn't be happier to see all of this happening. I'm excited to see how far we can take this